while I've got you on here, did you send me the recording of, or did you put it on YouTube? Look at us conducting business while we're trying to do a book recommendation. From Noah's said I could put it on YouTube, or did you put it on YouTube?
It's on the YouTube.
It's on the YouTube. Okay.
Yeah. Don't you look at our YouTube, Julie?
Not on a daily basis. I don't.
Bunch of fabulous events on there.
There are some great events on our YouTube. So if you're looking for some good events, the event if anybody's curious, the event we're talking about is the one that was last week with Noah Eisenberg with the Billy Wilder book. So if you missed it, you might want to go and watch the YouTube channel. So we've got a light showing today. I think we're in the middle of summer vacay. Everybody is, except for us, Gabe. There's no rest for the weary, right?
Harper never sleeps. Harper never sleeps.
We are recommended. Neither does Warwick's. So
that's why you've been around 100 and some years.
Right. Damn it. No days off.
1817 for Harper.
See, there you go. There you go. Look at all the stuff we've seen. Kim DeVoe said she is going to join us, but she might come in a little bit hot. Did I put the screen share on for you, Gabe? I did. So, Gabe, you want to go first? You want Amanda to go first?
Let Amanda go first. She's younger.
Okay.
Fresher voice. Kick us off with some energy.
Age before young age before beauty, or beauty before what?
Beauty with a horse. Somebody says. Yeah.
All right, Amanda, go.
Okay. A couple of weeks ago, the New York Times put out their summer reading edition of their book review, and the week after, I love reading the letters to the editor, and someone named Farley Helfant in Toronto posed a question. Would you please consider retiring the designation summer reading? I am quite convinced that my neurons and synapses do not undergo any meaningful changes as the days grow longer. With the arrival of warmer weather, just as I feel no compulsion to walk around in capri pants, I feel no sudden need to start reading romance, sci-fi, or sports books. Along those lines,
I love it. Are you kidding me?
I loved it. I loved it because last week I found myself enjoying the outside world very happily over the weekend with a book that most people would not think of as summer reading. This is The Reason for the Darkness of the Night.
Oh.
Edgar Allan Poe and the Forging of American Science by John Tresh, who is a professor of history, the history of art, science, and folk practice at the Warburg Institute in London. And he shows that Poe lived, thought, and suffered surrounded by science, and that many of his most renowned works can be best understood alongside science. Charles Bernstein, professor of English at University of Pennsylvania, says, Poe's devilish analytical wit and radical aesthetic genius through John Tresh's marvelously informative biography. I think I missed a word here. But he shows that the great poet's delirious cosmological artifices are in dialogue with his wide-ranging knowledge of technology, empirical method, materialism, and the newly forming scientific institutions of his time. So this is a must for anyone who's interested in Poe and also the evolution of science in America. A lot of people don't know Poe gave a talk at the end of his life about this crazy thing he wrote called Eureka, and it's a prose poem. But in it, a lot of people believe he actually posited the Big Bang Theory before scientists did. So it's just really wild. I love Poe, and this is a very great addition to the Poe canon. And we have it at Warwick's. Summer reading.
Looks fun.
I'm sitting here talking and nobody can hear me because I'm muted. I swear to God, I feel like I'm reverting back to April of 2020 when I didn't know how to do Zoom. It's bad. Yeah. So
Can you see me?
Can you see me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Am I unmuted? Unmute yourself. I'm out here just chatting
now
away.
we're just like,
yeah, just like, what the hell? But I was going to say, I love Amanda that thing about like the summer reads, because the book I'm going to talk about, it's like it wouldn't be classified as a typical summer read, but it's just that. So yeah, maybe we need to redefine what summer read actually means. So, all right, Gabe, what do you got for us?
I have the dream to one day write letters like that.
Right?
When I'm
or
old.
the time, or the time,
I know. I love that people have the time.
and feel
Such
that
a
they
great-
need to share those ideas.
Such a
Love
great
it.
letter.
Love it.
I am going to start off with one of our just amazing authors at Harper, Francine Prose, and her new novel, The Vixen. We've published a lot of Francine Prose at Harper. She's been with us for a really long time. It's always a treat when she publishes a new book, be it fiction or nonfiction. She has a very provocative mind. She's one of these people who you want to hang around and listen to and talk. Her short pieces are just wonderful.
Thank you.
She's speaking of, insights, people that, the things that she sees and what she notices culturally. And I think this novel is a synthesis of a lot of what she's been talking about in her nonfiction voice. And when you read a piece by her, The Vixen is a novel set. So this now it's a novel within a novel. This is The Vixen by Francine. And it is a story of a young man who graduates from college, and it's 1953 New York, and Simon Putnam needs a job, and his literary critic uncle hooks him up with this job at a publishing as an assistant editor at a publishing firm. Unfortunately, the publishing firm is, what's up, Cam? You're back. The publishing firm is floundering and is not very financially stable. So the first assignment Simon is given is to work on the project that's going to save the house. And that is this lurid bodice ripper written by Anya Partridge, who resides in what Francine describes as a opium scented room in her asylum that she stays at. So we have a really unreliable Anya writing this bodice ripper. And the hook it's not only a bodice ripper, the hook is it's 1953. It is a bodice ripper that is based on the life and the execution of the Rosenbergs. So it is this bizarre, you know what? And you're publishing long enough, you're going to see this.
Wow.
Just the things that are going to save that, the things that people will publish, and the justification for publishing this really, really thing that's in really bad taste. And plus it's horrible, right? So Simon is looking at this and it's horrible. So you're going along and you're having a laugh, you're just having a laugh with it, but it's a very serious book. It's a very serious book at fame, at what is now social media. In those days was just media and what the public sees. And it seems to Simon that like everybody's harboring secrets, and Simon's big secret, who's also harboring a big secret, his mom went to school with Ethel Rosenberg and was a friend of Ethel Rosenberg's, and at home has a shrine to Ethel Rosenberg. So of course that can't get out because it's the height of McCarthyism. So we're seeing a lot of books that are historically based and are reflecting on America as it exists today. With them, that really extreme right-wing minded that was happening in the 50s, we're having here with the big lie and the second big lie, and this January 6th didn't happen, and refunctioning history. So she's bringing all that from there to today, flipping back and forth. There's no time travel. It's just, you just see the parallels are just right there. But and you have a hoot, and then occasionally you get to read a passage of Anya's manuscript, and you roll around the floor because it's so funny. So there's a lot going on here. You're gonna have a lot of fun.
I love this. This sounds like it's right up my alley.
Allison Reed read it really early on, and Diesel read it really early on. She was raving about what a body fun read it was, and she just thought it was really spectacular. We got a great package again. It's a really good looking book, but it's exciting. I'm excited. It goes on sale tomorrow. So if you want something really good to read, good summer reading right now, we got it for you.
It's hardcover?
Hardcover.
Okay. Yeah. Kim DeVoe, are you in the house? You need to turn your camera on.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not on video. Sorry.
There you are. Kim DeVoe
Right,
is in
here
the
I am.
house.
Sorry about that.
No worries. You got here just in time. So you're after game. So you're ready to
Okay.
roll?
Okay, I'm ready to roll. Give me 1 second. Almost ready to roll.
I
Okay,
told everybody you might be joining us, but you'd come
my
in hot.
my first book. Okay, if you're looking for an absolutely unputdownable summer thriller, I have your book right here. It's Falling by TJ Newman, and it's actually on the cover of the July Indie Next list. Don Winslow actually called this book Jaws at 35,000 feet. And in this story, Bill Hoffman, an airline pilot, has just begun a flight from LA to New York when he receives a message that his wife and kids have been kidnapped. The kidnapper then calls and gives Bill a choice. He must crash the plane or the terrorist will kill his family. And if Bill tells anyone else about the situation, his family will be killed. Bill is determined to avoid choosing between the lives of his loved ones and those of his crewmates and the 144 passengers on board. And what follows is a smorgasbord of pulse-pounding, heart-racing suspense filled with multidimensional characters, a thought-provoking plot, and twists galore. The author was a flight attendant when she came up with the idea for this novel, and her background makes the whole setup feel incredibly realistic. This is her debut, and she had 41 rejections before she finally found an editor and got a 7-figure book deal. Universal Pictures just won a 14-way bidding war for the movie rights, and this book is definitely going to be one of the biggest hits of the summer. I absolutely loved it. You can't put this down.
I did. Was lucky enough to do a pre-pub thing with her. And so they did these things. We did these things where we went into these little separate rooms and we got to ask questions. So my first, my first thing was like, okay, I hate to fly. I mean, I truly hate to fly. I get like panic attacks. And so I was like, can I read this? And then she's like, probably not.
No.
I love how this is coming out like right when people are starting to
fly
travel again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely not for everybody. I would totally love to read this while I was flying, but I guess I'm weird.
Yeah, no, you're not. I think I'm the one that just like has the anxiety of it, but it's just like, oh my God. So
it's so good. And there's a lot more to it than it sounds. I mean, it doesn't just have like that sort of killer, elevator pitch. It's really good.
Yeah. No, I think Adrienne read it too, right? She loved it.
Yeah.
So lots of love at Warwick's for that one. Okay, Amanda, you're up.
Okay. This came out earlier in June. This is Everyone Knows Your Mother is a Witch by Rivka.
Did my children write that?
What?
Did my children write that?
No. Oh.
I had to drop that.
That's totally something my mother would say as well.
Sorry. I totally sidetracked you. Sorry about that. Go.
By Rivka Galkin. She wrote another novel called Atmospheric Disturbances, which I have not read, but I hear it was very critically acclaimed. So this book starts in the 1600s. The plague is spreading, and in a small town in Germany, Katharina Kepler is accused of witchcraft. She is an illiterate widow. She's known in town for her herbal remedies and also for the success of her children, the oldest of which is Johannes Kepler, who is the imperial mathematician and author of the laws of planetary motion. So when her really nutty neighbor accuses her of making a bitter drink that made her ill, Katarina's really in trouble. So her son must turn his attention from the music of his fears to defending his mother. And so the story is told sort of in flashbacks by Katerina to her other neighbor, Simon, a reclusive widower imperiled by his own secrets. And this draws on historical documents, but it's got this sly humor that is very contemporary. And the narrator, Katerina, she has such a wonderful voice that's very much of her time, but again, also very modern. It's very funny, even though it's dealing with super serious, rather applicable subject matter. Karen Russell, if you're a Swamplandia fan, remember that book? She said, imagine a story set in 1620 that speaks directly to your own scalded 21st century heart. Everyone Knows Your Mother is a Witch instantly became one of my favorite books. I need no witchcraft to predict it will astonish, beguile, and transform you too. So that's Everyone Knows Your Mother is a Witch by Rivka Galpin. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, no, that sounds really good. I love a good witch story. They're good. All right, Gabe, what do you got for us next?
Deb's been raving about both those books. She really thought they were both really well done.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're very different books, but very, very broad audiences. So
yeah.
And speaking of broad audiences, here's something new from the Men Invests couple, the fellas who broke out a couple of World Cups ago on a podcast, and pretty soon got a little TV time, got a lot of attention, and have since become just real, American spokespeople for soccer. Being British is kind of weird, but that's what's happened. And that's kind of the great thing about America. I remember watching an Olympics years ago, and I was watching water polo, and it's like, which is the American team? There's so many names on the backs of American jerseys from every nation in the world. So this is one of those stories coming to America. Roger Bennett, born in very Catholic Liverpool, a very nerdy Jewish kid who grew up in the 80s and felt out of place because he was brought up on John Hughes movies, The Love Boat, Run DMC, Tracy Chapman. That was the world that he knew. So when he was a kid, it must have been around 87, thereabouts, because the Giants were in vogue. He came to America, to Chicago, with a friend of his invited him to come out visit for a month. So he spent a month in Chicago, and his liberation from Britain began. And then, he came to America, moved to New York, and now lives in a really, really, really Americana-ish little town, something like Bedford Falls or something like that in New York. So this is a story about wanting to be American, about seeing America through that lens. Not at all the America that most of us recall who were here. Reagan was in full bloom. Again, culture was very divided. Economically, things were going off. So, it's all about perception. It's all about his love of America and getting here and reaping the benefits of being an American. He's just a delightful voice. He's a very fun. If you've listened, the reason they were a hit is because they're very funny. He's very funny. He's got a really, really great sense of humor, and it really comes across in this narrative. Very self-deprecating and very wide-eyed to the America that he was coming to. So it's a great tribute to America. It's a good time to be published. It goes on sale tomorrow, and I think it's something fun for everybody. I think a lot of the soccer audience for sure. You got a dad who likes sports, an uncle. If you're there's your mom. I'm seeing a lot of people grow up playing soccer, men and women. So and a lot of people grew up in the 80s. So I think there's a lot of you who will enjoy the Roger Bennett memoir. Really, it's like I said, he's a really unique voice. He's got a really uniquely funny brain, and he's a lot of fun.
Because coming to America in the 80s from England, because England was no cakewalk in the 80s either.
Yeah, man. Maggie Thatcher was tearing
Yeah.
things up. The
Yeah, I
economy
mean,
in
it was,
there.
there was, the economy was, talk about an economy in the tanks. It was just like, they were horrible in the 80s over there. So, yeah, we must have looked like paradise.
I think we still do. I think given, I think if you ask most people
Yeah,
outside of somebody who's got a really cush life,
great.
you got a plane ticket to America and a place to stay, very few people would say no.
True. Very true. All right, Ms. DeVoe, what do you got for us next?
Okay, my next pick, let me just pull this up on the screen, is Nowhere Girl.
You were
and
telling Nancy about that today.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mentioned Nancy. It's a memoir of a fugitive childhood by Cheryl Diamond. And actually Gerard also read this and really liked it. This mind-blowing coming-of-age memoir begins when Cheryl is 4 years old and careening down the Himalayas in a beat-up station wagon with her parents and 2 siblings. Her extremely charismatic and narcissistic father is wanted by Interpol, and by the age of 9, Cheryl will have lived in more than a dozen countries on 5 continents under 6 assumed identities, and she knows how to forge documents, withstand an interrogation, and disappear. Often living in fancy houses and 5-star hotels, life felt like one big adventure. But as the family she loved and trusted began to unravel into fear and violence, she begins to realize that her entire life has been built on lies. At age 16, Cheryl is penniless and homeless, and her struggle to escape her cult-like family and discover her true self forms the core of this courageous and touching book. It's an incredible story and perfect for fans of Tara Westover's memoir Educated and Jeanette Wall's book The Glass Castle.
Awesome. I think I've decided that most memoirs have narcissistic parents. At the center.
I swear it could be it's like a genre.
It's like its own genre. It's just
Yeah.
like most memoirs.
Yeah.
It's like the parents are right. It's just like they mess those kids up.
This takes the cake. I mean,
Yeah.
this story, we couldn't. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, you think Educated was bad? You ain't
Wow.
seen it yet.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing, but it's funny. I mean,
Right.
she has a great sense of humor. She's, at this point in her life, she's incredibly mature and grounded. And I mean, she did it.
Yeah. No, I just read a one that's not coming out, I think, till like March of next year or something from Henry Holt, but it was a really good memoir. But it's like the mom was like suffered bipolar and just like
Yeah.
the stuff that she did to the kid. But the memoir is fantastic. But anyways,
Yeah.
I digress.
Yeah.
All right, Amanda, you got a third and final choice for us?
Okay. Pardon me. I'm still learning. Okay, so I'm talking about this again. This is Fox and I, An Uncommon Friendship by Catherine Raven. This is just a beautiful, beautiful debut memoir. And I'll give the abbreviated. So this woman, Catherine Raven, she's living in Montana in a cabin she builds herself. She's a biologist, pretty purposefully lonesome person, had a tough childhood and doesn't really dig people so much. So she starts noticing this fox that comes by her house every day at 4:15 p.m. and she decides to make friends with the fox and sits out there with the fox and talks to it and starts reading to it from The Little Prince. She doesn't even realize that there's a fox in it. She hadn't remembered until she gets to that part. But I am going to read another quote. This is from my book-selling colleague, Carrie Kepke of Skylark Bookshop in Columbia, Missouri. She says, "Reading Fox and I was like sneaking my father's worn copy of Sand County Almanac out to my childhood treehouse all over again. Raven fills her pages with wilderness, introspection, and perfect literary nuggets. A book about books, a book about nature, a book about self-discovery, a book about what we can learn if we are paying attention, and a book about what we learn when we let ourselves become distracted. It's just, it's hard to believe it's a debut, and it's out now. And so if you love nature writing and books about books and memoirs, this is the one for you. Fox and I.
Love it. Okay, Gabe, what do you got?
I got something very interesting for you.
That is.
It is a new collection of writings from John Ashbery, who is one of our great poets, one of the great American poets, no longer with us as of a couple of years now, I think, thereabouts. We got to publish John towards the end of his career. I think he's been with Harper for the last, 15 years of his life, maybe a little more, actually, through our Echo imprint, which is one of our literary imprints. And it's a great, stunning collection, is what it says on the screen, because it is a look at, it's not necessarily a collection of poetry, it's a collection of his writings. And while there's a lot of poetry included here, there are, including some really long poems, there's also a lot of narrative prose, almost novella length, book length projects. So there's fiction, pieces of fiction in here. There are essays in here. There are long poems and some short poems as well. But it's a good look at who John Ashbery was and what was going on in his mind and what goes on in the mind of a great wordsmith. So we're publishing this really handsome edition. I'm really excited to get my copy tomorrow. Maybe it'll come today. But I'm looking forward to it. So that's something for your library, and it'll be on your library for a really long, long time. Yep. For fans of John Ashbery and fans of the word. Excited.
Looks like a great addition. Looks really like a good packaging too. Yes, Amanda.
I need to correct myself. I said Fox and I is out now, but it looks like it is next Tuesday. But you can pre-order it. I was a little confused because I was at a bookstore not to be named here in town and I saw it sitting out. So that might have been a mistake. Anyway.
I feel like channeling Princess Bride and Valerie. Liar! Okay. Anyways, and then Gabe, back to yours. Yeah, that looks like a really good package for that one. Okay, Kim, what do you got?
Okay, my quick pick is Instamom by Cheryl Girton. And we're having an event with her tomorrow, which is the only reason this book was on my radar screen. And I didn't think it was going to be that interesting, honestly. I thought it would be a book about a mommy Insta blogger. Mm-hmm. But instead, it's way more fun than that. It's actually a book about a 31-year-old Instagram, influencer with, zillions of followers, whose entire career has been built around mentoring and supporting women who choose a child-free lifestyle, touting its many benefits, and sharing and showing her supposedly perfect life. And she actually also wrote a book about not having children and, all the reasons and, supporting women. Her whole thing is based on this. Then she meets a hot chef and does not initially know this, but he is a widower with an 8-year-old. So her life gets a lot more complicated. And it's fun. It's obviously a summer rom-com, but it also deals with, grief. She and the young girl lost their moms. And also it's a fascinating inside look at the life of of an Instagram influencer. It's not easy and it's not fun. And it's not what you're seeing on their Instagram feed.
Right.
So this is fun. It was
Yeah.
really
And
good.
she's
Really
and
well
Chantel,
written.
the author was she an actress? She was something big in Hollywood, I think. She's
Yeah. I read something about that and I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either, but it's just so the event I think is going to be really
Yeah.
interesting tomorrow. It's one of our couch surfing events tomorrow. I think it's
Yeah.
at 5 or 5:30. I think tomorrow.
Yeah.
5. It's at 5 tomorrow. So it'll be
Yeah.
on this Facebook page, or you can join that. But yeah, the influencer thing. It's sort of like I can't remember what event that was just. That we did. Taylor Jenkins Reid, who writes Malibu Rising. That's her fascination about what like Hollywood presents to us, but what's really going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, it's
I just love the book. Seriously, it's a
Yeah.
great read, and I listened to part of it. The narrator's fantastic too. If you like to listen to books, it's definitely worth it. I mean,
yeah.
it's fun.
And that's the thing. Sometimes I think that people think that the rom-com or the thing. It's like there's usually like really good like things that make you think in them.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
they're presented
yeah.
to you in a fun,
Yeah.
lighthearted way.
Right.
But
Right.
there's some really good underlying things
Yeah.
that to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to close out with, I'm going to make y'all jealous. So even though I think this is kind of what you were talking about, Amanda, a summer read, because it's just like a page turning, you can't put it down, but it's not coming out till September. City on Fire. Look at the cover's even on fire. Look at that. Woo!
A hardback pre-pub book.
Hardback pre-pub.
Who does that?
Who does that? William Morrow. I don't know. Gabe, do you know who they are?
One classy publisher, it seems.
One classy pub, I'm telling you. Oh my God, I picked this up yesterday afternoon. And
Oh man, you're tearing through it.
I'm tearing through this baby.
Don't spend like months writing that. You're gonna read it in 2 days.
I know.
What?
That's got to piss authors off, right?
What city?
It's Providence, Rhode Island. Or a little town. It's called Dogtown, but it's like right around Providence in Rhode Island. It's so good. And Don actually said in this thing, he said, I've been writing this book for decades. So it's not just like this is his story that he really felt like, because that's where he grew up. He grew up in Rhode Island.
Wow.
So, and he's written about San Diego and Mexico, and this is the first time that he's actually writing about Rhode Island and where he grew up. So these characters are fantastic. It's kind of what it's a blue collar town, fishing town that, the mob's involved, but it's not like the New York mob kind of thing. It's the Irish against the Italians, and it's just these characters. It's set in the 80s. He bases it off of the Iliad, though. One of the characters in the Iliad is sort of where he's basing this whole thing. It's fantastic. Couldn't put it down yesterday. I mean, wow. I will be done with it probably tonight. So thank you, Dawn. So
the next one.
Until the next one. And the thing that's killing me is it's a trilogy. And so usually I'm not a big person to read a trilogy the first, because when the final one comes out, he'll mention something in this one and I won't remember. And then I'll be like trying to find the book and figure out what, but anyways, that's just a personal problem. But pre-order it. I will put the link in for a pre-order, but most likely, I mean, there might be a little bit of an event happening here in San Diego. I'm sure Don will be around San Diego. Don will be around San Diego doing stuff. So look out for him in the fall. I'm sure a lot of us will be involved in doing events with him. But you can also pre-order it. So something to look forward to for, I think it's September. I can't remember the exact date, but I want to say September sometime. Great. So what's that again?
It's on our fall list in September, and my monster fall list.
Yeah. I know there's some good stuff coming out in the fall. I've been reading some really good sides. Like most of the stuff I'm reading right now, that's why I was looking back to see if there was something that I could talk about that's out right now, but I'm not thinking that I can remember because everything I'm reading is like, out. So with that, we'll let everybody get to a wonderful summer evening. So cheers, Amanda, to tea time. And thank you everybody for watching. And we'll see you. We are going to be here on Monday, even though it's another holiday. I got nothing better to do. I'm going to be here giving you some book rec. So lots of people are off work. Maybe they'll want to come and see think get some good recommendations for some to read. So with that, I'm taking us off of Facebook. So good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night all.